Welcome to Dover, England. It's been a port since the Roman times, more than 2 millennia ago. Right behind me is the White Cliffs of Dover, runs about 110 meters high, 8 miles long. And just on the other side is France, just over 20 miles away. So let's go visit Dover. Because it is so close to France, it's actually the closest point between England and continental Europe. Dover is often a target for invaders. The British has used this strategic position to track enemy ships in the Dover Strait. Dover is about cliffs and tunnels. So it's no surprise, I guess, that we're having to climb a lot to get to see anything. I needed steps, right? But I didn't need all these flights of stairs. During World War I, this building was constructed for coastal defenses. From here, the British coordinated and directed the firing of weapons systems. With wireless communication taking hold starting in the 1890s, staff on shore could communicate with staff on the Royal Navy ships using voice, telegraph, Morse code, or even coded messages. Here we have a periscope. Very cool. Look at this. You look through here. It's been around since 1890. It's manned 24/7. Hike up to a different, even higher hill to check out Dover Castle. Bolton's Gate is built for King John. He reigned in the early 1200s. The castle is one of the country's best preserved, and it's a symbol of Britain's resilience, identity, and natural beauty. It dates back to 1180 and has adapted to the changing defense landscape. If you're wondering, this was bombed during World War II, but it's been fixed up since. The inside of the castle is recreated with the help of experts dedicated to historical accuracy. It really does feel like what the castle would have been like in the 12th century. Check out the throne room, and here's the kitchen. When we finish wandering inside, let's go upstairs to the roof. And I bet there are great views of the water and the grounds. We see the barracks where the military over the centuries stayed. About 82 feet down on the grounds of the castle are the cliff casemates. It's a series of underground tunnels, about 3+ miles. Sadly, they do not allow photography, so I can't show you anything. The top level is the field hospital. The second level down was built for the Napoleonic War, which is talking about the late 1700s. And finally, the third and deepest level was built for basically housing the government in case of a nuclear war. I highly recommend. It gives you a real immersive experience. It gives you the sounds, the sights, and even the smells of what it's like in a field hospital in World War II. During World War II, Operation Dynamo was planned here. If you've never heard of it, it's a great story of community and people pulling together during wartime. This was during the early days of World War II, the spring of 1940. It was seemingly a far-fetched idea to rescue stranded British and Allied soldiers in Dunkirk, France. Planners hoped to save the lives of about 45,000, but after a call went out to civilians who had boats in England, more than 330,000 were evacuated, with 200,000 of them coming through Dover. This was late May and early June of 1940. This was also one of the places where the Allies planned what is now known as D-Day. Back above ground and a few feet away from the castle is a lighthouse built around 130 AD. The Pharos is about 40 feet tall, but at one point it was the tallest Roman building in Britain at 78 feet high. I think it's super cool to be able to touch something that was built almost 2,000 years ago. So right next to the former Roman lighthouse is this church built around 1000 AD for the Anglo-Saxon community and is called St. Mary de Castro. De Castro is Latin for of the castle, to differentiate this church from other churches called St. Mary's. Let's head back down into town onto a pier to see what's one of the biggest draws here. Any trip to Dover isn't complete till you check out the White Cliffs of Dover. It was made famous by Shakespeare's King Lear, and it has been basically a symbol of peace. It was the first sight of England many of the rescued soldiers saw as they escaped Dunkirk, France during World War II. Walk along a maritime pier and you'll get a pretty good view of the cliffs. While this view is nice, I would love to see the cliffs up close, but I didn't plan ahead, and as it turns out, the boat cruises book up fast, often over a week out. The ferry that goes to Calais, France, across the Dover Strait doesn't help, as that requires advanced planning too. Guess the only way to get close will be on foot. But that means going up the hill, that tall hill. Ooh. All right, we're going to try this. Don't know if we'll make it all the way. Whose crazy idea was this? Mine. Walking along this trail on the way to get a good view of the cliffs is a good time to tell you about a few interesting tidbits about these cliffs. So why are the white cliffs so white? Well, it's made of chalk or finely ground limestone. The dark bit is flint, and humans from the Stone Age mined it to make weapons. And its uniqueness makes for a valuable ecosystem for animals and plants. Because of Dover's strategic location and the fact that the cliffs are made of chalk, this made it easier to build secret passageways inside the hills overlooking the city. The secret wartime tunnels and the cliff casemates were built on the grounds of the castle, while the Fan Bay Deep Shelter was built under the White Cliffs. All were built at different times and serve different purposes. One of the reasons I wanted to come to Dover is because I fell in love with that World War II song called White Cliffs of Dover. And if you don't know what it is, I'll sing a couple of lines of it. The bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. So basically, it's a song that promised peace and happiness after the war. It just made me feel a little bit happy and hopeful when I heard it. We made it! We're seeing the White Cliffs of Dover. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Mary Goes Round the World. Here's my tip of the week for you. If you stay a little longer than we did in Dover, check out the Roman Painted House. It's not open all the time, so check the website. They think it was a kind of hotel 2,000 years ago for travelers crossing the English Channel. Even back then, Dover, or Dubris, as the Romans called it, was valued as a base and a gateway.